Hello! When one hears the word pyramid, the picture that pops in mind is probably that of the Egyptian pyramids in the Giza Plateau. The sight of these imposing millennia-old structures is truly breathtaking. The only one of the seven wonders of the ancient world still standing today, built as monuments to godlike pharaohs that commanded not only mortals but the mighty Nile as well, the river that was rightfully called the lifeline of Egypt. Herodotus described Egypt as the gift of the Nile, and rightfully so. But striking pyramids do exist outside Egypt and outside Africa for that matter. Ancient pyramids outside Egypt you can still visit. Next on Random History. In geometric terms, a pyramid is a polyhedron. The polyhedron is a three-dimensional shape with flat polygonal faces, straight edges, and sharp corners or vertices. A pyramid is formed by connecting a base with three or more angles and a point called the apex. The apex of a right pyramid is directly above the center of its base. In the case of a regular pyramid, the base has the shape of a regular polygon. A regular polygon has three or more equal angles and three or more sides that have the same length. When the term pyramid is not specified, it is usually assumed that one refers to a right square pyramid. This means that the base of the pyramid is square-shaped and the apex is directly above the center of the base. The center of the base is the point where the two diagonals, the lines that connect opposing angles, meet. Let's look up the term in Britannica. A pyramid in architecture is a monumental structure. It is constructed over faced with stone or brick and has a rectangular base and four sloping triangular sides meeting at an apex. Sometimes the sides of the pyramid are trapezoidal and it is truncated at the top to form a platform. In architecture and archaeology, the term pyramid is sort of stretched beyond its geometrical meaning to include the so-called stepped pyramids. A stepped pyramid is a structure that uses flat platforms with progressively smaller sizes stacked one on top of the other. The earliest Egyptian pyramids were stepped pyramids and gradually evolved in the shape we all know and admire. The oldest known pyramid in Egypt was built in around 2630 BC for King Djoser by the later deified architect, priest and healer Imhotep. Step pyramids were built in the Americas by the pre-Columbian civilizations and in the Middle East as well. Other pyramidal monumental structures are the tumulus mounds. These structures are heaped piles of earth, gravel and sand built to house the remains of important people. The tumulus mounds are not considered pyramids in the strict sense of the term. As far as the term ancient is concerned, we will resort to the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Ancient is of or relating to the historical period beginning with the earliest known civilizations and extending to the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD. So for a pyramid to be considered as ancient, it has to have been built before then. It seems to have reached us through Latin and French. However, the word pyramid is obviously much older than both these languages. The original etymology is not at all clear. It has been theorized that the word pyramid comes from ancient Egyptian. The relative term is found in the so-called Rhind mathematical papyrus dating from 1550 BC. It is pronounced per MWes and it translates as one that comes forth from height. Others, however, are more inclined to accept a probable Greek origin of the word. The Greek word seems to have been pyramis. Pyramis was a kind of cake of roasted wheat grains and honey that had the characteristic pyramidal shape. Wheat in ancient Greek was pyros. However, there is another hypothesis related to the Greek derivation of the term pyramid. This hypothesis is mentioned by none other than Aristotle in the book on the heavens written by 350 BC. There, the famous philosopher seems to ponder on the probability of the term pyramid being identified with the Greek word for fire, which is pyre. Mesopotamia is a Greek word meaning between two rivers, and it refers to the land extending between Tigris and Euphrates. It is considered as the cradle of civilizations. Mesopotamia has been dominated by the Sumerians, the Assyrians and the Babylonians from the beginning of written history circa 3100 BC. The pyramids of Mesopotamia are called ziggurats. They have 4 sides and rise high up to reach the realm of the gods. The ziggurats have the form of a terraced compound of successively receding stories. As a result, unlike the Egyptian pyramids of the later period, the ziggurats did not have a smooth exterior but a tiered one. The terraces of these massive structures were used for the accommodation of the administrative work that took place there. It seems plausible that on these terraces various religious rituals were celebrated. They were so told that Etemenaki, a ziggurat near Baghdad that now lays in ruins, has been associated by scholars to the biblical Tower of Babylon. One of the largest and best preserved ziggurats is the Great Ziggurat of Ur in present-day Iraq. The first organized excavations took place in the 1920s by Sir Leonard Woolley. A massive rectangular pyramidal structure was revealed, oriented to the true north. The base of this ziggurat was 64 by 45 meters. It was constructed with 3 levels of terraces standing originally between 20 and 30 meters high. 3 monumental staircases led up to a gate at the first terrace level. A single staircase rose to a second terrace which supported a platform. On this platform, a temple and a third and final terrace stood. The core of this impressive structure is made of mud bricks. It is covered with baked bricks laid with a natural occurring tar named bitumen. The ziggurat of Ur was built by the Sumerian king Ur-Nammu at around 2100 BC. It was dedicated to the moon goddess Nana. She was the divine patron of the city-state. By the 6th century BC, this monument had crumbled to ruins. It was restored by the Babylonian king Nabonidus. Possibly the citizens of Ur would bring to the ziggurat the surplus of their agricultural production. They would also go there to receive regular food allotments. So in a sense, an ancient visitor of the ziggurat of Ur was to seek spiritual and physical nourishment alike. We now move closer to Egypt in modern-day Sudan. This area of the Nile Valley was known as Nubia. There lies the ancient kingdom of Kush, the great rival to the Egyptian pharaohs. The region of Kush was the main source of gold for the Egyptians. It is thought that the term Nubia, which describes this region, derived from the Egyptian word for gold, which is Nub. More than 250 pyramids were built by the kings of Kush. As their Egyptian counterparts, these structures served as burial chambers for Nubian kings and their families. There are twice as many Nubian pyramids still standing today as there are Egyptian. The first of these structures were constructed in 751 BC. Although similar in height to the Egyptian ones, they have much smaller foundation and are far narrower. Furthermore, they generally lack the pyramidion, which is a pointed capstone. The Nubian pyramids were built of granite and sandstone. The outside was faced with brick and then covered with brightly painted plaster. To one side of the pyramid, a chapel was attached. The entrance of the chapel formed by twin pylons. The base of these pylons was broader than their roof. Greece is known for its plethora of archaeological monuments that one can visit in the mainland and the numerous islands alike. These monuments were constructed in various periods dating from 2200 BC. Each period of the Greek civilization had distinct artistical characteristics. The pyramids in Greece are among the lesser known ancient structures. These structures do not feature in the travel guides, and it is not always easy to find the way to them. The first mention of pyramidal structures in Greece is found in the texts of the 2nd century AD traveler and geographer Pausanias. Nowadays, 2 pyramid-like structures are still standing. They are both found in the southern part of the Greek peninsula in the district of Peloponnese. The most well-preserved one is known as the Pyramid of Hellenikon. It is built from limestone quarried locally. Unlike the Egyptian pyramids, it had large central rooms. Furthermore, its base is rectangular, 12.5 by 14 meters, rather than square. The use of this pyramid is not clear. According to Pausanias, it was a common tomb of soldiers that died in a local battle. However, it has been mentioned that it had doors opening from the inside. These doors would have obviously been rather useless if the people inside were dead. Thus, its use as a tomb is somewhat contested. Its dating is also contested. Due to the lack of archaeological material, dating this structure is troublesome at best. It has been suggested that it was constructed in the 4th century BC. However, its dating with the method of thermoluminescence gave a date between 2500 and 2000 BC. This makes it as old as the Egyptian pyramids. The debate is ongoing. Less controversial than the Greek pyramids is the so-called Pyramid of Cestius. In Italian it is pronounced Piramide di Caio Cestio or simply Piramide Cestia. One can see it when visiting the Eternal City or La Città Eterna, as the Italians rightfully call it, Rome. This pyramid was built between 18 and 12 BC. It was a tomb of a local magistrate named Caius Cestius. It is made of bricks casted in concrete and then covered with slabs of marble. Its base is square with each side measuring 29.6 meters and it stands 37 meters high. About 50 kilometers northeast of Mexico City, one can find the ancient city of Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan covers about 20 square kilometers. It has been estimated, however, that at its peak it might have covered as much as 36 square kilometers. It contains around 2,000 single-story buildings as well as various pyramids, plazas, temples and palaces. The first inhabitants came to the area at around 400 BC. The larger city structures were not completed until about 300 AD. It seems that the city reached its peak around 100 years later with a population as high as 200,000 people. At around 600 AD, major buildings were deliberately burned. Artworks and religious sculptures were destroyed. Was it an uprising? Was it an invasion by a neighboring military power? We do not know. The identity of the people that built Teotihuacan is covered by a mantle of mystery. We ignore where they came from and where they went after they abandoned their majestic city. Their religion and their customs are equally unknown to us. They had a glyph-based written language, but it may have been limited to dates and names. The Aztecs found the mysterious city in around 1400 AD, centuries after it had been abandoned. They must have stood in awe, admiring the imposing buildings. We know that because they named it the place where the gods were created. In Aztec language Nahuatl, Teotihuacan. Several pyramids were constructed in Teotihuacan. The largest of these structures was the Pyramid of the Sun. The name was given to this monumental building by the Aztecs. The name given to it by the people who actually built it is lost from history, probably forever. The Pyramid of the Sun is facing west. It stands at 66 meters high. Its base measures approximately 220 by 200 130 meters. The beginning of its construction dates around 200 AD. It was originally covered with lime plaster painted with colored murals. Unfortunately, while the structure endured the test of time, the painted plaster did not. It has been hypothesized that the pyramid venerated a deity worshipped by its unknown builders. There is little evidence, however, to support this hypothesis. The pyramid was built over a tunnel leading to a cave 6 meters down beneath the center of the structure. Originally, it was believed that it was a naturally formed cave. More recent excavations, however, have suggested that it was man-made and could have served as a royal tomb. About 130 kilometers from Mexico City, one can find the small town of Cholula. This is the location of the Great Pyramid of Cholula, and the epithet great is truly fitting for this building. Each side of its square base measures 450 meters. It stands 55 meters above the surrounding plain. This makes it shorter than the 137 meters of the Great Pyramid at Giza, but much wider than it. By volume, it is the largest pyramid in the world and the largest monument ever constructed. Its total volume is estimated at over 4.45 million cubic meters. This is almost twice the volume of the Great Pyramid at Giza, which is about 2.5 million cubic meters. The Aztecs gave it a name that I shall not attempt pronouncing. From Nahuatl, it translates as made by hand mountain. Legend has it that the Aztecs, when learning that the Spaniards were advancing to their city in 1519, attempted to conceal it. They worked day and night to cover it in dirt. The stratagem worked, and no one knew about its existence until the end of the 19th century. Then the soil covering the structure started to erode. Parts of the structure were revealed, attracting the interest of archaeologists. But the place was not to be dug, since a church was built on top of what was thought to be a hill. So archaeologists started building tunnels in the dirt in order to explore, date, and understand the structure. The Great Pyramid of Cholula was built over a period of hundreds of years, starting from 200 BC until the 9th century AD. Several ancient peoples of Mesoamerica contributed to its construction. The pyramid consists of 6 superimposed structures, one for each ethnic group that dominated it. The Olmecs and Toltecs were among these ethnic groups. It was dedicated to the feathered serpent deity. For reasons unknown in the 8th century AD, the city suffered a drastic population drop. The pyramid initially retained its religious importance. However, its importance gradually declined. The Aztecs arrived in the area in the 1300s and found it all but abandoned. And this was a concise list of ancient pyramids outside Egypt that one can still visit. Did we miss any pyramids? If we did, tell us about them in the comments below. In the description below you can find some resources for further reading. If you feel so inclined, please like, share and subscribe in order not to miss out on our future videos. And if you have any suggestions for subjects you would like us to dwell into, note them in the comments below. Until the next time, keep learning!